Good evening and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Total Nonstop Racing League here at Mobility Resort Motegi for 150 miles here of Total Nonstop Racing League action. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bob Giaquinto. Joining me in the booth, as always, is Joe. And Joe, this is going to be a very fun race. It's a challenging 1.5 mile egg-shaped oval. And these drivers are going to have their handfuls as this race goes on tonight.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a real fun one. It looks like such a simple track, but I believe it's actually very complicated. So I'm super excited to see how these guys handle it.
Yeah, it is absolutely a difficult racetrack out there. Here's John Cannizzaro. He's fastest on the board so far as he races his way down the back straightaway. Let's jump on board with the 99 here, Philip Scott, as he's getting himself ready to go. He's got a special paint scheme here for the the formerly Twin Ring Motegi, now Mobility Resort Motegi racetrack. Long front straightaway. You can really drive the car in as a lot deeper than you think you can. But you're in this turn 1 and 2 so much longer. Very flat track. Easy to spin, especially coming out of the corner. Down the back straightaway. Now is just when you're going to want to use those brake markers and watch for them. Once you get past the 100-meter board, that's when you're going to want to start getting on the brakes, slowing down, and driving off like this. And pretty good looking lap right here. Jacob Bettis in the chat saying, good evening, boys. Put on a show, and remember, kidney stones are horrible. Good luck. Quick, speedy recovery to you, Jacob. A lot of TNR guys out this week. Johnny is out as well. Driver I'm surprised to see out there is John Cannizzaro. He said he had hurt his wrist bowling last week, and he was a game-time decision, but so far he's 4th place on the board.
I wonder if he screwed on one of those the truck 18-wheeler handle, so you can one-hand it.
You know, I would love to see someone try that, because that would be so fascinating to watch.
Right. 10 and 2? No, just 10.
Just noon.
Yeah. It's a strong noon, though.
Scott Stewart also in the chat cheering on Adam. Number 4, Welts Clothing Machine.
Stones. I've been there. They're terrible.
Yeah, would not recommend. Tyler Avery popping in saying, yeah, I'm going to need to bubble wrap John for the rest of the season. There's
Get him one of those bowling the ball ramps, the one that they put for like kids to roll into the bowling alley.
I feel like that would be allowed in league bowling, right?
Yeah, he'd be fine.
I think it'll be okay.
It's like the Wii bowling.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. There's Jamar Dumas, driver out of Alabama. So far, Jamar is sitting P11 on the board. Another thing to keep an eye out for as we see the 35 of Robert Tripp. That's coming to pit road. Very awkward pit road here for these drivers to get on. And it's going to be interesting to see what they can do to kind of slow the car down, because, yeah, you're not coming from a lot of high banking, so the banking itself isn't going to be the issue, but it's that pit road really comes up quick on you, so you're going to have to slow down, be wary of sliding the tires, locking them up, or anything like that. I mean, iRacing doesn't necessarily simulate flat spots on the tires, but you'll put a lot of heat in the tires, and, I mean, when you're coming off of the corner like that, it's so easy to hit that pit road attenuator there and really damage the race car. So checkered flag is out for the qualifying session. Johnny Eckert celebrating
that's one way.
P2 by drifting through turns 1 and 2. Hey, this is Japan after all.
That is true. Get a little bit of that initial D action.
Right? So we're going to get ourselves ready to go over for the race session. 100 laps for tonight. This is going to be a great time. I'm excited. And Joe, let's take a look here at the starting lineup for tonight's race. On the pole with a lap time of 35.737 is Anthony DeBarro. On his outside is the 90 of Johnny Eckert, just 7/1000ths of a second behind him. Row number 2 is Nick Cohan, just 31/1000ths of a second, and John Cannizzaro Jr. in 4th. Row number 3 is Philip Scott and DJ Weeks, Alex Buffoli and Shane Ewing in row number 8, or row number 4 rather. Row number 5, Danny White and Jamar Dumas. Jonathan Gaston, John Cannizzaro Sr. make up row number 6. Row number 7 has Ace House and Jason Schue, Adam Stewart, Robert Tripp, row number 8. And running out our 18-car field, row number 9 is the 89 of Ross Stevens and Garrett Gleason. So we've got ourselves a pretty strong field here tonight for this race. We're looking forward to bringing you all the action here on the Tabletop Trio Podcast Network. Make sure while you're watching the video, like the video, share it with your friends. Let us know who you're cheering for as well. Feel free to follow us on Twitch, subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Cannizzaro Jr. in the chat says, more dizzy cars all of a sudden, must be struggling to beat me. We shall certainly see. It's going to be an interesting one here tonight. These drivers, this is not a very often raced track here in iRacing. Just kind of came out at a weird time between road racing and oval racing, and this has both. It would be a fantastic addition, and I really do wish iRacing would race here more often. But it's an interesting layout. It's flat. It's very technical. You really have to drive the car, and I'm looking forward to seeing how these drivers handle it. We raced here in TNR a couple of seasons ago in the next gen vehicle, and it was definitely a fun race. So hopefully we get to see that one again as you see the starting lineup scrolling across the top of your screen. Forehand Watch says, I'm cheering for the broadcaster's curse. That is definitely one of my skills, unfortunately.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, this track was built by Honda?
Yes, this was the Honda Proving Ground. Honda owns, and the Japanese car manufacturers own a lot of racetracks in Japan. I believe they also own Suzuka, which is a Formula One track. Fuji is another one, I think, owned by Toyota. It's the manufacturers really put in a lot of work with racing when it comes here to Japan. As the green flag is out, we're racing here in Motegi, side by side off into turn number 1. Anthony DeBarro has the inside. He's got Cannizzaro Jr. all over his back bumper with Johnny Eckert on the top side. Eckert slides up the track. Here comes Nick Cohan to the inside. 4 cars under a blanket down the back straightaway. DeBarro is going to slide right in front of the 90 of Eckert. Here comes Nick Cohan now to the inside as a field flyby and complete lap number 1.
At least these guys are a little lucky on this race. It seems that it is overcast, and so the track temps are actually pretty good.
Yeah, track temp right now only 80 degrees, so plenty of grip out there. And that's going to mean a lot when it comes to saving tires. You have more grip. You can kind of do a little bit more. You're not really worried too much about sliding around either. I think this is going to be a good thing for these drivers, just as far as tire saving is concerned. But man, look at that gaggle of cars back there. Jason Schue takes a wild trip to the inside wall as Ace House gets underneath Jamar Dumas. This is a battle for 11th. You can really hear where everyone's lifting off is a little bit different. You see the 55 here driving in, doing a good job getting back on the gas. And right there, you almost want to like 3/4 throttle coming out of the corner until you get the car pointed in the right direction as Robert Tripp heads down pit road.
Yeah, I was going to say, as someone who's been like practicing with these cars and learning, don't floor it coming out of the turn. You would think it's just like brake pedal, gas pedal, brake pedal, gas pedal. That's not it. That's a good way to find be intimate with a wall.
Yes. And you know, that's the way, you know, sometimes they'll call it light switch racing, where, you know, it's either one or the other. You know, binary racing, 1 or 0. But with these cars especially, there's so much horsepower and so little grip. You really have to ride that throttle. You don't want to get 100% on the throttle. You don't want to get 100% on the brakes. You just kind of want to almost tap dance on your pedal set just to make sure the car is going in the right direction. And oftentimes, especially at tracks like Twin Ring where you're braking a lot, you want to have that brake bias pushed all the way towards the back to actually help the car rotate. And you almost steer more with your feet than you do with the steering wheel at this track.
I'm not going to say that maybe setting the car would make me a better driver, but it certainly couldn't hurt.
That's fair. Let's take a look here as we head off into turn 3. Look at the wheel of Johnny Eckert. Getting on the brakes, not really moving the wheel all that much. And oh man, that thing is sideways. Obviously, he has the steering wheel offset a little bit to the right from center, which is going to help with tires in the corner. But it is definitely trippy seeing the wheel pointed to the right as you're driving towards the wall.
Yeah, that would throw me off.
Got ourselves a great battle here for first. Everyone just about the same speed. That time Cannizzaro was fastest among the 3. Here comes Cannizzaro getting to the back bumper of Johnny Eckert. That time through DeBarro was fastest. As Cannizzaro says, all right, I'll take that.
I feel like DeBarro has a little something to prove this race. He was a little disappointed last week with his finish. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he got involved in that lap one little bump and just kind of fell back. Didn't really have much of too much of a way to get back up through the field.
Yeah.
So I think he's just sitting out there saying, all right, you know what? New race, let's do this.
Yeah. Don't have to worry about getting caught up in the pack if I'm in front of the pack.
Exactly. So far, very clean race. We got a bit of a gaggle of cars back here With the 99 of Philip Scott, there's Shane Ewing as well, as Garrett Gleason takes his car down on the pit road. You're looking to see where your favorite driver is. Everyone on the back straightaway right now. DJ Weeks there in that black and green machine. And looks like we have a pass for fourth as Nick Cohan gets around Alex Buffoli. Cohan just had a great drive out of turn 4, able to drive it down into the corner. Buffoli just falls in line. And to see those roads there on the inside, that's the road course. This track, formerly Twin Ring Motegi, now it's Mobility Resort Motegi. Twin Ring meaning they have 2 racetracks here. And it's interesting to see with this track, as you see that tunnel there, the track is both inside and outside the oval, but doesn't use any parts of the oval. So it's not really a roval track. And unfortunately, in real life, this track was damaged a handful of years ago during the earthquake that took place in Japan, and it just was too expensive to maintain and fix and repair the track. So the oval track, unfortunately, just not used anymore, aside from, you know, some drifting competitions and that sort of thing through parts of the track. But a very fun road course. A lot of elevation changes, heavy braking zones, more technical tracks.
I thought they make it a monster truck oval. Send it.
Oh, that'd be fun. Put some jumps.
Right?
A little rallycross action.
Hey, if they're already damaged.
I mean, you might as well, right?
Right?
That would be incredible.
Come on, Honda, hear me out.
Listen, we have an idea for you.
Yeah. This one's free, just let us race on it. And also give us a car to race on it.
And fly us out so we can race on it.
We're
Couple
not
of
asking
stipulations. Yeah, it's pocket change, really. But so far, 15 laps into this one, it looks like drivers were saying they could do about 2 stops for this race. So we'll likely see the guys come down maybe around, I'm thinking 40-ish, give or take, maybe lap 45. But this track really does lead to some long green flag runs, some spread out racing. And I mean, if you're one of these drivers up front, that is more than okay. Just, you got to save your tires and keep going at it.
Yeah, the weather here on the track is really going to benefit these guys with a nice long green flag race. So,
and you see there, the track temp has actually dropped a couple of degrees since the drop of the green flag. Now it's down to 78. So there is all sorts of grip right now. Shane Ewing taking a peek to the inside of Alex Buffoli. He's going to slide up a little bit. That's going to let Philip Scott get in. Scott there in the Ninja Phil design, number 99 Camry.
Love that he changed it for the race.
Yes, Philip is a Mopar driver typically, but when in Japan, why not?
Yeah.
Very cool to see the Japanese writing on the car as well. After all, he is Ninja Phil. As they're 3 wide into turn 3, Philip Scott says, "Excuse me, pardon me, coming through." So we'll move Scott up to P5. much of a gap Scott was able to get over the 32 in the 08 in less than a corner. Now it's going to come to DJ Weeks. He's going to try to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I think the 32 is just trying to bide some time, save his tires. Same with the 08.
Yeah, you never know with these pit strategies. People are saying they're going to do it in 2. Some people want to pit early. Do some people want to pit late? How many laps do they want to get on the freshest last set of tires? Yeah, I don't. It's a science I haven't learned yet.
And I feel like that's the toughest part about racing in a series like this, where they do actually wind up they do wind up adjusting the fuel load for these cars, because typically they can go more than the 150-mile distance that these cars do, or if they do, it'd only be one stop, and it's just kind of, all right, pit whenever. Having the smaller fuel cell in these cars actually allows for better racing, because there's multiple green flag pit stops, there's multiple strategies that you can run to maybe try to save some tires, save some fuel, something along those lines. And I think that's a really good plan that the admins here at TNR have together to say, all right, we want to try to make the best racing possible and get everyone involved, and it's been working out great.
Yeah, I think it's been great.
Almost a quarter of the way into this race. Anthony DeBarro still leads. Oh, the 08, Buffoli gets in the wall hard.
He gets glued in there too.
Yeah, and with the way these cars are, they lovingly call this body style the Twisted Sister, because of how asymmetric the body is on these cars, and the back end, the right rear just kind of sticks out ever so slightly, and that's what got Buffoli into the wall. Let's take one more look at that one, as Danny White was the one who got around the 08. As we see here, we'll slow it down just a little bit. Or maybe we won't. Let's get back there. There we go. So there's the 08 of Buffoli. Just out of the groove, and well, that time by he didn't get in the wall. Let's try this one more time. There it is. One lap earlier. But he just got out of the groove, got into the wall, and unfortunate for him, it just kind of slowed him down a little bit. So DeBarro opened up about a 9/10 of a second lead, but here comes his Dizzy Motorsports teammate Nick Cohan just to rattle the cage of the 77.
Cannizzaro has been closing the gap a little bit. A few laps ago, he was 1 and change seconds behind. So
yeah, let's take a look here. This last time by, Cohan was the fastest of the three by almost 0.4 of a second. Cannizzaro grabs the wall a little bit on corner entry, and that's just a product of using as much of the racetrack as he possibly can. Here comes Cohan now. And that time through, Cohan was the fastest by almost 0.3. Cannizzaro also faster, though. So both of these guys, even though they're racing, are catching the 27 of DeBarro.
I wonder if that's by plan. I wonder if DeBarro's trying to get Cohan to catch up.
He very well could. I mean, they are Dizzy Motorsports teammates. They do have their own team chat that they work in. I wonder if that was just a matter of DeBarro saying, all right, I'm in the lead. I've opened up about a second gap. I can bring it back now. And now that I have my teammate, he can kind of run interference, and I'm okay to just drive off.
Yeah.
As now the gap is closed to 0.3 of a second for Cohan. Great looking number 21 machine. I believe that's a Ford Probe that he's driving.
I don't even know what that is.
As long as it's not the Ford Pinto, I think we're safe up here.
Could be worse.
True.
Could be driving a Cybertruck.
Yeah, well.
At least one needs contact to explode.
I mean, panels fall off. Someone with Elmer's glue in the background. Just, it's fine.
Hey, we use a gorilla in this production line. Maybe not, but
yeah, I was gonna say they definitely don't. Too expensive.
Was it Matilda, the wood glue?
Just picturing Danny DeVito now on the assembly line of a. Meanwhile, though, back to live action here. Nick Cohan slowly chasing down Anthony DeBarro, and Cannizzaro Jr. falling back now, about 1.5 seconds behind these two. John has always said saving tires was always his wouldn't say weakness, but a tough part for him.
Not his top three.
No. As now these Dizzy Motorsports teammates are starting to go to work on each other. Cohan taking a look to the top side, trying to see how that top side is going to work. He may even try to cross over the 27 if he can get to him. But what a run there by Cohan. Nick Cohan to the point. Kind of think DeBarro said, all right, bud, you're faster. I'm just going to let you go. On lap 31 out of 100 here tonight. Jason Schue, the first to head down pit road. Not sure if green flag pit stops will be happening yet. Yes, they are, as here comes John Cannizzaro Jr. down pit road.
Yeah, I have to imagine he's coming down quick for some fresh tires.
And a big slide there for Jonathan Gaston as well. Jason Schue down and away. Gaston there as well. I wouldn't be surprised if more leaders didn't start making their way down pit road. As there goes the 90. There's Danny White making his way on pit road. Cannizzaro on pit road for quite a while.
Yeah, I wonder what happened with him.
I wonder if he got caught speeding. As here's Ace House as well as Adam Stewart. But a big issue here is Cannizzaro still on pit road. There goes Cannizzaro. He's down and away. Nick Cohan, DeBarro, Eckert, Weeks, Ewing, and Dumas all making their way on pit road.
He must have gotten flagged for speeding.
I feel like he had to have, because he was on pit road for quite a long time. Is now Philip Scott, the only driver who has yet to make a pit stop. We saw last week in the Speed Tuesday Dash Series that Philip did that and wound up winning the race, but obviously that's not happening tonight, as here comes Philip Scott. Little lockup coming down pit road. But he's going to make his way slowly but surely to the aid of his crew. That's going to give the lead to this guy, Nick Cohan. A massive gap over DeBarro and Eckert. goes DJ Weeks, Danny White there in the background, as well as Jonathan Gaston. Shane Ewing is there. Jamar Dumas too. Ace House up to speed there as he flies by the camera. But here's our leader, Nick Cohan, 5-second lead over Anthony DeBarro.
He's really pulled ahead.
Don't forget, tonight's cameras are brought to you by our friends at Track Cams for Gourmets. Make sure you check them out, trackcams22.com. Or you can check them out through the link in the description below. You'll be helping us out using our affiliate link there as well.
They have some fantastic camera angles for this track.
I think this might be my personal favorite. There is a really, really sweet drone shot from these cars.
Yeah. I've been switching back and forth. The nostalgia of this racetrack in like all of the Gran Turismo games and everything, I kind of have it set to the chase cam because it just reminds me like I'm playing the game.
It really does. It is a fantastic camera angle. Right now, though, we've got ourselves a great battle. This is for second. Johnny Eckert wants the position from Anthony DeBarro just in front of him. And you see a little tiny orange speck heading off into turn 3. That's our leader. So Cohan is completely checked out. He's got about a 5-second advantage over these two. DJ Weeks in 4th, Philip Scott in 5th. Cannizzaro, the only car 1 lap down. Oh, as the 90 almost gets into the 89.
They did get into it.
Yeah, a little contact there as well.
Yeah, bump and go.
So Stevens 2 laps down. Cannizzaro Jr. 1 lap down. Cannizzaro Sr. about to go a lap down. Maybe about 5 seconds back off of our leader, Nick Cohan. Coming up on lap 40 of this one. 100 laps in this race. So, looks like everyone came down right around lap 33.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do that 2-stop strategy. They'll wind up coming down around lap 66. And then they'll just be home free. I think that's a great call for all these drivers. I'm sure fuel amount played a factor in this. But I think that's just the right call to do. You can even it out, see how the tires handle. I think that's going to be a good strategy for these cars.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Every now and then with these tracks, some of these guys try some really wacky pit stops.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be I'm interested to see what they do. Maybe they try to go a little longer for this run. Because, don't forget, these guys are out there. They're saying, all right, had our 30-lap run. I think I know how this car is going to handle. I think I know, this is what the car is going to do. I overdrove a little too much in the beginning of the run. I'm going to back it down here so I have a little more to give later on. I think, they have that in the back of their mind now as they're getting themselves ready to go. Closest battle on the racetrack right now is Philip Scott to DJ Weeks. Weeks has the position. And you can really hear when the drivers dive off into the corner how little they are on the throttle through 1 and 2 compared to 3 and 4. Listen to that lift and coast there for Phillip, too. Maybe not, he's definitely not clutching in, but he's certainly backing off quite a bit. And I think it's going to be a good thing twofold. He's going to be able to save some fuel, and he's going to save his tires in the in the long run. Right now, Philip Scott still trying to chase down DJ Weeks. Nick Cohan's gap has shrunk ever so slightly. Now it's just 3.6 seconds over Nick Cohan, or pardon me, over Anthony DeBarro.
Yeah, Eckert's still trying to get in there.
There is Eckert, and he's chasing down that 27 machine.
It feels like whenever he gains, DeBarro speeds up just as much.
Yeah, in the last few laps, Eckert has been closing in on DeBarro. When you see a plus there, that means DeBarro is slower than Eckert. When you see the minus, DeBarro is faster than Eckert. That time through, DeBarro was almost 0.4 faster than Eckert.
Yeah, that being said, DeBarro is closing in on Cohan now, less than 3 seconds.
Yes, I mean, they're both kind of working together at this point, just saying, all right, I'm not going to race with you. We're just going to kind of ride. And look at that. DeBarro last time through, 0.5 second faster than Nick Cohan.
Yeah.
It's almost like those roles were reversed.
Yeah,
from
I wonder
the
how
first
much
time.
of that is tire save, how much of it is fuel save. Well, I guess it's probably not fuel save. I'm wondering how much is just like, I don't need to push that hard. Let me slow down. Let me relax.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, though, tire saving is also fuel saving because you're not driving in the corner as hard. You're backing off a little bit more. You're a little more gentle on the throttle as well. And another thing I didn't mention earlier in this race is as this run goes on, once the tires get older and older, you may actually see drivers shift in these corners, especially in 3 and 4. 1 and 2, you're probably not, just because of how wide and sweeping this corner is. But 3 and 4, there's a very good chance towards the end of the run that these drivers may start shifting, which, yeah, might be a little bit better for a drive off, but it's also going to hurt the rear tires a little more than you really want to.
The more you know.
So the gap to Cohan from DeBarro has shrunk now to less than 3 seconds. Johnny Eckert 4 seconds back. DJ Weeks almost 7. Gap between Philip Scott and DJ Weeks, however, has shrunk immensely.
Cohan must have our broadcast on in the background as he's now started to pick up a pace.
Yeah, I was just about to say that gap has grown now by about a second. So we got ourselves a pretty dang good battle right here between Philip Scott and DJ Weeks. Running fairly even lap times, and they're switching who's faster each lap. Very gentlemanly here as we're coming to halfway in tonight's contest. Weeks slowly starting to pull away from Scott by about 1/10 of a second. Which, if you're just coming into racing and you see, oh, it's 1/10 of a second, that still is a decent chunk of time when it comes to racing. You may think, oh, it's 1/10 of a second. That's really not a whole lot. In lap time, it definitely is.
I've been like 0.05 seconds away from someone, like just trying to get a lap in, and I can't. It's like the old meme, like I'm giving it all she's got. I'm trying my hardest, and then you try too hard because you're like, well, what could I do to try to get that half of a second? What could I? Let me try this, and then it's slower, and then you crash because you get into a mindset of like you're not doing fast enough, and then you mess up. And it thinks like it seems like it's a small number you could make it up, but man, sometimes you're doing 100%.
Yeah, you're pushing hard, and you know sometimes you find that edge, and you're like, all right, that's as much as I can do. But then all of a sudden, you know, you push and you find the edge, and next thing you know, you're in the wall.
Yeah, what is it? Comparison is the thief of joy. It's like I'll be in a race and I think I'm doing I got a pretty good lap time. I'm like breaking my own record. It's solid. Then I look at the board and I'm like, shit. Like I'm not even close.
It's like, oh, the leader is now half a second faster, and I cannot go any faster.
Half a second, sir. I'd be in 16th or 17th at this point.
Right now, our leader, Nick Cohan's coming up on lap traffic. It's Cannizzaro Sr. and Jason Schue. These guys are racing for position, and there's no rule like in Formula One where, oh, the leader's here, you got to get out of his way no matter what. No, they're going to race as hard as they want. They're going to try to stay on the lead lap and do whatever they can. As now Cohan stuck behind the 55. Here's Cannizzaro Jr. as well joining this party.
Yeah, I was going to say Senior could try to slow down Cohan just enough to try to, you know, create some traffic.
Yeah, just enough for the 77, because right now the 77 is not the lucky dog. Now he is. If a yellow were to come out, the first car one lap down gets their lap back. Cannizzaro is trying as hard as he can to get around the other lapped cars and to catch Cohan too, just because he doesn't want to put that to chance. Because Cohan is ripping through some of these cars. He sees Adam Stewart in his sights just ahead of him. And Cannizzaro right now is saying, all right, you know, if there's a yellow, I need to get in front of this guy or be the first car one lap down just so I can get a lap back. Over on Twitch, DL Dub says, babe, wake up. Counter-Strike dropped news cases. And they say, now that I'm playing F1 on higher difficulty, a tenth of a second is a difference between pole or seventh.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. I mean, that is racing in a nutshell. We saw the first two qualifying spots for tonight's race were separated by 7 1,000ths of a second between DeBarro and Eckert.
Now, not as much, about 0.8 seconds.
Right now, a pretty good battle brewing in here for second. There's Anthony DeBarro. Just behind him is Jason Schue, and behind him is Johnny Eckert. Don't forget, if you missed any of today's action, you could always check out the Tabletop Trio YouTube channel. Head on over to the live tab and you could watch the race. So for these cars, they are about 700 horsepower. As far as weight is concerned, I don't really know off the top of my head.
It can't be much.
They're certainly faster than GT-style race cars. gonna have to see if I can find that that info for DL Dubs.
3,400 pounds.
Ah.
725 horsepower.
I was close enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the new actual Gen 4 car comes out in just a matter of months, those cars are going to be even crazier. The SparkNotes version of the story is this car that they're racing right now is based off of a 2008 NASCAR, at the time, Nationwide Series car. It was then modified to be the ARCA Menard Series car, which was the case until this past year. And then in an update a couple of seasons ago for iRacing, there was a bug that gave these cars 725 horsepower. And the users said, this is amazing, we need to keep it. And iRacing said, all right, sure. And that's how we got this, this version of the Gen 4 car, which is what they're racing right now.
Love when they listen to the people.
And it was a total complete accident. There was a bug that gave the car 725 horsepower, and the fans ate it up and they loved it.
Oops, all power. Best bug ever.
Oh, it was incredible. So because of that, iRacing literally said, all right, if you guys like it, we're going to create the car. It's going to be free if you have the ARC car already. Pretty much, it was 100% a bug. Because the ARCA car that is also this car only has about 500 horsepower. And there was a bug that almost doubled, basically.
Wild.
But then when the real version of this car comes out next season for iRacing, it's going to have, I think, 800 horsepower, 850, somewhere in that ballpark, based off of the actual cars from 2003. They're going to come out with the Chevy Monte Carlo and the Ford Taurus for now. Then they're going to start adding in the Pontiac Grand Prix. Hopefully they scan a Dodge as well. That would be awesome. As we see John Cannizzaro Jr., the first car to head down pit road.
I thought we saw Schue down there.
You know what? You are... I think you might be correct. Yeah, Jason Schue and Robert Tripp both pit 2 and 3 laps ago, respectively.
Mm.
So there is Cannizzaro. Stuck behind the 8-ball just a little bit there with the speeding penalty that he had in the first half of the race. There's his father, John Cannizzaro Sr., out on track. Danny White, Jonathan Gaston both heading on pit road. And it is wild and crazy to me that these two drivers are fighting for position. We're 65 laps in, and that's how close they are. So crew going to work there. Nick Cohan, Anthony Ibarra still staying out. Johnny Eckert in there as well. Another Johnny popping in the chat. Johnny Williams saying good luck all. Hello and welcome. Thanks for hanging out, Johnny. Miss you out there.
I think Eckert's really starting to show his tire where he's really falling behind. But DeBarro is as well.
Yeah, and I think this is, this is just the reasoning behind a long run green flag racing. Haven't had a single caution flag this race. And I mean, if these guys are going as hard as they are this whole race, those tires will not be happy. DL Dubs only over on Twitch says, is there any special mechanical sequence for pitting in a sim? I'm on controller. It says stick left now. For this, you are driving your car the entire time. There's no, no button mashing or anything like that. You can drive wherever as long as you stay under the speed limit. There's no speed limiter as well, so you could easily speed on pit road and give yourself a penalty. The only, I guess, video game aspect of a race here is once you're in the pit boxes, you can drive through the other cars. But as soon as you leave the pit box, you're going to be making contact with another car.
Yeah, you can also drive directly through your pit box and overshoot it.
Yes.
Ask me how I know.
Very easily.
9 times out of 10. I can't find my flag, drive right past it.
As we see there, oh, look at that, a pass on pit road. Johnny Eckert does get around DeBarro.
Wow. That's crazy. He was able to make up that 3+ second gap.
Yeah, and that pit time there,
second and a half.
Eckert was in his box for 14.7 seconds. Cohan 14.5. So I think Eckert just got a better drive on pit road, down pit road, and out of his box than DeBarro did. As we see Philip Scott making his way down pit road.
Yeah, going back to those tenths of a second. Just takes the 2 plus a good stop and a good go.
Yeah, and once we go through the pit cycle here, I do want to bring up the graphic just to see the total pit lane time between Cohan and Eckert, just to see where he was able to gain that much time. But right now, Nick Cohan leading, 30 laps to go. Eckert in second with DeBarro hot on his tail.
A very uphill battle for Eckert to make up almost 6 seconds.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. 30 laps to go. They've done 33 lap stints, and we see as the time goes on, these drivers start to fall off quite a bit. You see here, still waiting for the pit lane time to populate. But we saw that Cohan was able to drive away from Eckert after the first round of pit stops, and we see it right there. Cohan on pit lane, back on lap 33. Took him 47.8 seconds to go all the way down pit road. Eckert 48.5, DeBarro 49.5. And then right there is the reason why Eckert was able to get around DeBarro. Eckert on pit road for 48 seconds, DeBarro 49.4. That is a second and almost a half slower on pit road DeBarro was than Eckert, even though Eckert had half a second slower pit stop. As we see the 89 Ross Stevens get a little squirrely. Let's take a look at that one more time on the Tabletop Trio replay. The 89 just got a little squirrely coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, real swirly.
And he might have had some help.
No caution though.
So the 89 a little slow. He got loose. And Canizzaro's right there. And yeah, he was already getting sideways. And, big save.
And another.
And whoa.
Ooh, a little bit of contact.
Not a whole lot of damage though. As we're back green. Here's Jamar Dumas now. Dumas started in 10th, currently running in 9th. He is the last car on the lead lap. And just in front of him, about almost a second down the road, is Shane Ewing. I feel like every single week we see Shane and Jamar almost side by side the entire race. Even throwing Jonathan Gaston in there as well. Those three drivers are always right around each other, always making fairly similar moves. And it's just so fun to see the little battles throughout the field as these races go on.
Yeah, it's never fully just, oh, there's a car out in the middle of nowhere, there's a car out in the middle of nowhere. There's these little pockets. Even if you toss up the track map now, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 battles right now that are on top of each other.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see that too, because everyone here, there isn't really one driver that, dominates these races. You may see a couple of drivers, fight back and forth for wins, but anyone can win at any given point here in TNR. Especially if you throw in like a super speedway race or something along those lines. It's, that the parity here is fantastic.
Yeah, it's been fantastic racing.
4am Watch says severe weather here in New Jersey. Be careful. Definitely if you're in the Jersey area or even the surrounding areas, a lot of guys from Northeast Pennsylvania racing here as well. Definitely stay safe. As now Jamar Dumas takes a peek to the inside of Jonathan Gaston. This right here, a battle for 8th. Dumas able to make the pass, and Gaston fight back on the bottom. Almost 2 car lengths now separate the 72 from the 28. And I think Dumas says, all right, we'll see you guys later. .23 laps remaining in this one, as our leader Nick Cohan in the number 21 machine has about a 3-second gap over Johnny Eckert. And then going back to DeBarro, another 3 seconds separates Eckert from DeBarro, which I'm a little surprised. I would have thought that those two, having left pit road about the same time, would have kept fighting together. As now there's 21 laps to go. Right there, that's the 77 of Canizaro Jr. He's the first car 1 lap down. Canizaro pitted back on lap 62, where the leaders were on 67. But I think Canizaro is aggressive enough to just say, you know what, I'm going to take my lap back the old-fashioned way.
Bet that flag guy loves the weather out there currently.
Yeah. Pretty nice day. It's a little cloudy, but a nice little breeze, 12-mile-an-hour winds, 68 degrees, 75-degree track temp. That temp just keeps falling. Start of the race at an 80-degree track temp. But with no sun, the track's just going to cool off even more. Johnny Williams said, we had a tornado on the ground a couple of miles from my house around 7 this morning. Wow.
Yeah, we are, by me, we are currently under a tornado watch.
Oh, fun.
Yay. So if I disappear, I'll keep you posted.
I know for me, lightning was detected in my area about 49 minutes ago, and we have a severe thunderstorm warning right now, but that's about it. We got 19 laps to go here. Now 18 as Cohan lead staying steady, just about almost 3 seconds. DeBarro 5 seconds behind him. DJ Weeks there as well, and then there's a long gap between Philip Scott and Shane Ewing. About a second separates Danny White from Shane Ewing. There's White in the all-black number 44.
That car's fun because the lettering or the numbering is, I believe, usually slightly chromatic. So no sun, no shine, hard to see the numbers.
And, sometimes I feel like that's helpful. You can kind of get away with having a bit of a ghost car. As Robert Tripp makes his way down pit road. Eckert there making a move to the inside of the 47 of Ace House.
Eckert has been able to make up a lot of time on Cohan, but I wonder how much of that is Cohan just babying his tires.
Yeah, I mean, just over the last 2 laps, he's picked up almost 7/10. He's down to less than a second separating Cohan from Eckert. And let's see what this lap looks like now. I'm interested to see the gap there. As, it looks like Cohan lost another 4/10 to Eckert.
I wonder if it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, all right, you could race really hard, heat up your tires to try to catch me. And then once you catch me, my tires are going to be nice and cool, and I'll be able to win on the back end.
And, that is a legitimate strategy, too. Just trying to make the other guy overdrive. As that time, they're about even Cohan a little bit faster by less than a 10th. And that's a very legitimate strategy for if I'm Cohan, just saying, all right, I think I know what Eckert's going to do. Let's let him think he's pulling in. Let him use those tires a little more than he needs to. And we'll see how that works for him. That's the thing with these cars. You really have to drive off of the right rear. Otherwise, the right front tire gets worn so hard. As we see Eckert now working on the lapped car at Cannizzaro. .12 laps remaining. Gap for Eckert has grown now to about 2.4 seconds. Although clear track now is ahead for Eckert to try to chase down Cohan. Philip Scott closing in on DJ Weeks. I feel like we've been talking about that all night long. As there's the gap between those two drivers.
Yeah, I think that's like what we were saying. It's, you're trying to get close, but, when you're giving it all you got, and you're basically breaking even on each other, you got to figure out how much can I push it, how much more can I go without, hurting myself.
Yeah, and like you and I were even joking about earlier, where is the line? And I mean, you take one little step over the line, and next thing you know, you've either burnt your tires completely off or you're sideways into the wall. Now we're at 10 laps to go. The 08 of Buffoli, just kind of the meat in the sandwich between the 99 and the 91. Scott trying to close the gap. About 0.3 of a second separates those two. Danny White also trying to chase down Shane Ewing. This is a slightly closer fight right now. As Philip Scott gets a great run out of turn number 2. He's going to take a peek to the inside. They're side by side into turn 3, and Philip Scott is going to get the position. Is Weeks going to try to make a crossover move? No, he can't quite get there. So we'll move Philip Scott up to 4th. Here's Danny White now. Shane Ewing in the yellow machine just in front of Cannizzaro Sr. Nothing quite going there. Gap stays at the front, though. Nick Cohan about a 2.8 second lead over the 90 of Johnny Eckert with 7 laps remaining. Very fun racetrack, this Motegi Raceway is.
It looks like a lot of fun. And I believe Honda just uses this track kind of like just to test their cars now.
Yeah, I mean, they there are some motorcycle races, a couple of GT races as well, that are here, but only on the road course layout, obviously. As Cannizzaro Jr. has to beat heads down pit road, might have just short pitted a little too much there. So his night goes from bad to worse. Johnny Eckert, though, caught by DeBarro, and DeBarro gets around him. Let's take a look at that pass, as they're already side by side here out of 4. DeBarro says, all right, I'll take that now. Oh, Eckert got a little loose there in turn 1. So now 4 laps to go. These two battling it out. The gap to Cohan has exploded now. 4.7 seconds separating this fight. It's grown even more now. Coming to 3 to go. Eckert half a second slower than Cohan. DeBarro 0.3 of a second slower than this time by. 0.3 for DeBarro, 0.3 for Eckert. Cohan on cruise control right now.
Hey, he really pulled ahead.
Ace House makes his way down pit road. So now we're coming to 2 laps to go for Nick Cohan. 3 miles separates the 21 from victory.
0.02 seconds for second and third.
Here comes Eckert to the inside. Not quite able to make a move there. White flag in the air for Nick Cohan. This battle is certainly heating up. This is going to come down to the last corner. DeBarro has the spot. Eckert wants it. Eckert grabs the wall. Meanwhile, through turns 3 and 4, one final time. Onto the throttle, onto the front straightaway. Nick Cohan is going to win in a dominant fashion here at Motegi. DeBarro is going to come home second. Johnny Eckert in third. Philip Scott comes home fourth. Here comes DJ Weeks fifth. Got a little ways to go now for Shane Ewing and company. Ewing wraps the bottom in turns 3 and 4. He's down the back straightaway. Ewing will come home 6th. Dumas comes home 7th. Jonathan Gaston will come home in 8th. And Danny White,
out of gas?
Slowly, he may be out of gas. Yeah, Danny White out of gas. But he should have enough to cross the line.
He makes it.
And Nick Cohan doesn't even celebrate. He just drives down pit road.
I wonder if he was running out of gas.
I mean, he very well could have. As, yeah, Cohan just parks it. So, we are going to grab our interview drivers, as well as DeBarro and Cohan. And Joe, I believe you've caught up with our third place finisher, driver of the number 90 machine, Johnny Eckert.
Hey, Johnny, congratulations on the podium finish. With the race running entirely green, how important was consistency for you?
Yeah, it was a lot of learning mid-race. I haven't raced here in a while, and this is a difficult track. Just because you got to be really smooth, you got to be, very deliberate in how you approach corners and stuff. So, yeah, it was just kind of first run learning and trying to get into some sort of rhythm, and then not make the mistakes I made on the first run the rest of the race.
How was that battle for second between you and DeBarro? You were kind of neck and neck all race.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. First half of the race is a little foggy right now. But yeah, at the end, like the second, I know at the first pit stop, I kind of gained a lot on him entering pit road, and leaving the pits, I was pretty close. But I don't know if he was saving tires, saving fuel, what, but he would like yo-yo a little bit. And that last run, I got him off of pit road, and I thought I was going to be in good shape, and then I absolutely destroyed the wall off too. So that kind of threw that out the window. So I don't know if he had a bad run or whatnot, because I didn't even think I was gonna have another bite at the second place apple per se. But yeah, I got next to him with a couple laps to go, and I was just hoping I wouldn't wreck us both, because the right front was bent in a little bit. But yeah, it was a good race with him. I think I think I was holding on a lot more than Cohan and DeBarro were necessarily um, racing it full. You know what I mean? Like I was at my absolute wits end. It felt like running as hard as I possibly could, and it felt like they just in a league of their own. So even to have to even remotely have an opportunity at second was kind of surprising for me. So I'll take it, and I'll take third and move on.
Well, awesome. I'm sure you got some shout outs for us.
Yeah, first off, thank you guys for broadcasting. Thanks to the league for putting on the race, and the admins for all they do. Shout out to my teammates DJ Weeks and Alex Boffoli for their help tonight. I don't know where we go next. I'm a little bit more worn out than I expected to be after this, but yeah, congrats to Cohan and it was good racing with the Barrow there.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much.
All right, that is Johnny Eckert, our third place finisher here in tonight's race. And, well, let's get ourselves chatting with DeBarro. That's Anthony DeBarro, our second place finisher here at Motegi. And, well, Anthony, congrats there on the second place finish. You and Johnny had a bit of a battle there towards the end of the race. Talk us through that. And, I mean, how hard was it? Especially, I'm sure tires were pretty beat up there at the end.
The name of this race was Save Fuel. So, I mean, really, I in that first run, I could have been 4 or 5 seconds out if I didn't have to save fuel. And I got Nick did a better job at the beginning when we were really running the pace on that first run, and he was able to run more pace at the end there, and that's how he jumped me. And I don't do a very good job with saving fuel, and I was just struggling with that, where I needed to be in my lap target to be able to make it on 2 stops. So that's kind of was just my whole race was pedaling and clutching and saving fuel. I was just pushing there to get Johnny, and I think I had like maybe 0.3 of a gallon. I timed it right, and I was able to. He made a mistake, and I was able to get around him.
And how difficult is it when you're fighting like that, but also saving fuel, and trying to get a position at the same time? I'm sure that's pretty difficult out there.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating as a driver because you have more pace to go, and if you had more fuel, but it's also the name of it. Strategy is the name of the game too. I should take the positives, and we had the speed. If I felt I could have battled with Nick if I didn't have to save fuel. So props to him. I'm glad the team brought home a 1-2, and I haven't won this year. I think I'm a little bit. We calling it a drought yet.
Getting close though.
I mean, if I talk to you every week and I'm not winning, I'll take that. I mean, that's and leading laps and winning a pole. I should take that any week. So
definitely. Well, next week we are going to be racing at the Legacy version of Atlanta. What are your thoughts there? A pretty typical 1.5 mile racetrack. Again, another track with a ton of tire wear. What are you thinking there?
I hope it's like 150 degrees and we're sliding around. That's what I'm hoping for.
Awesome. Well, Anthony, before I let you go, I'm sure you have some shout outs. Let's hear it.
Yeah, thank you guys. Like I said, each week I tell you how much I look forward to watching the broadcast and review and everything, and you guys do a fantastic job. And the admins, Garrett, for putting this on for us and letting us do this and have fun on Monday nights. And it's competitive, but we all respect each other and we have a good time.
Awesome. Well, Anthony, congrats again on the second place finish. Looking forward to seeing you out there next week at Atlanta.
Thank you, and Nick sucks.
Well, you heard it there. And speaking of Nick, Joe's made his way down to Victory Lane to chat with Nick Cohan.
Hey, Nick, congratulations on the win. With no cautions, kind of bunching up the field, how important was your pace and consistency? Because you seem to kind of kill it out there.
Yeah, it was pretty important, which is kind of like last week. Just had to pace yourself, and I kind of knew that going in because a little light on the car count tonight, and this is a very wide and big track, and iRacing doesn't like to throw cautions very often here, so I kind of knew that we'd have at least a few long green flag runs. So I tried to plan accordingly with that. Just tried to just pace myself, not wear out my tires in the beginning. And we were also real close on fuel too, so it was very beneficial to take it easy in the beginning and try and stretch that out. And I think it worked out good. It was um, it was pretty slick in the beginning, and as the race went on, track got tight, so you had to kind of change the way you went through this center off there at the end of the race. But yeah, overall, this probe racing development number 21 was real quick in the long runs again. And if we if we have any races with some cautions, I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to do in the short runs because Johnny, and Anthony are just really fast in the beginning, and it's hard for me to do those qualifying laps for 15 laps. I just can't do it like they can.
With that, at what point did you feel you were confident and that you had the race in the bag?
It's kind of weird. In the middle of the race, I kind of felt like I was in really good shape, and towards the end there, I actually started to, lose a little confidence in that, which is kind of weird because, all 3 runs I did the exact same thing. Save tires in the beginning, about 10 to 15 laps, depending on how far away the leaders were in front of me or behind me. And, at the first pit stop, I gained a ton of time entering pit road, so I was able to save a little bit more. And then the same thing when I came out the second time, gained a ton of time. And I had a pretty big gap. I think it was almost 6 seconds back to Johnny back there. And I really paced myself, really took my time with the fuel, and I knew I was real careful with the tires. And I knew he was going to be trying hard to make up that gap, so I knew this was the time to do that. And when he got about 2 seconds back, I lit the fuse and didn't really go anywhere, so that was a little concerning. I was expecting to pull away a little bit more, but Eckert had some pace there at the end for sure, and luckily he tagged the wall there, I believe, and then I was able to kind of gap a little bit more. But yeah, that was a little concerning when I was like, okay, time to go, and lap times were exactly the same. Like, this isn't working out as I was expecting. So, but yeah, it was it would have been interesting if Johnny didn't hit the wall, and DeBarro was catching up too. So it was going to be interesting there. So yeah, it was a good run. It was a fun race. I think these past 2 races here have been a lot of fun, a lot of respect out there. So props to TNR for years putting on a really good league, and you guys for putting on a good broadcast. This is a great place to be. Anybody who's watching it does a run here, you should definitely sign up.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you got some shout outs for us.
Yeah, of course, all my teammates and all the guys back at Dizzy Motorsports for putting together a fast 2.2 liter 4-cylinder turbo engine here in this pro racing development number 21. All the guys at CJ Automotive, Joey Gattina, and again, you guys for putting on this broadcast and this league. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again, and hopefully we'll be chatting with you next week.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Nick Cohan, our winner here tonight at Twin Ring Motegi. And Joe, this race was a ton of fun. A lot of action, a lot of fuel strategy. And, let's take a look here at the final results for tonight's race. Getting the win tonight was the driver of the number 21 machine, Nick Cohan. Anthony DeBarro comes home in second, Johnny Eckert in third. Philip Scott gets home in fourth, DJ Weeks fifth, Shane Ewing comes home sixth, Jamar Dumas in seventh, Jonathan Gaston in eighth, and the last car on the lead lap. Danny White comes home ninth, Alex Pafoli in 10th, Adam Stewart 11th, John Canizaro Sr. beats out Junior 12th and 13th, Jason Schue 14th, Ace House 15th, Ross Stevens 16th, Robert Tripp and Garrett Gleason will round out the 18 car field tonight. And Joe, next week heading to Atlanta, 1.5 mile racetrack, the old Atlanta. So those that asphalt is not very kind to these tires.
Yeah, it's questionable.
That is for sure. But I guess that'll just about do it for us. Tomorrow night, we are going to be broadcasting the Speed Tuesday Dash Series, part of the Highline Diecast Collectibles in-season tournament. So make sure you check that out right around 9:15 Eastern, right here on the Tabletop Trio Podcast Network, both on Twitch and YouTube. You can always check us out online, tabletoptrio.com. For one final time, I'm Bob.
I'm Joe.
And this has been Total Nonstop Racing League live from Twin Ring Motegi. Have a great night.